Okay, we had a technical failure a moment ago, but I am back online now. To pick up where I left off, I think I was speaking on realigning myself into a more beneficial vibrational space. Seeing how this Hampton Road. Well, actually, let me just explain what I mean by beneficial, non-beneficial. I'm reintegrating the words beneficial and non-beneficial in place of, the terms negative and positive, because the whole concept, oh, should I say, I have a more accurate understanding of the concept of negative versus positive, or negative and positive, one and the same thing. Anyway, so to try to free myself from thinking along the lines of a linear perspective, I want to kind of expand my vocabulary to align with my thought process, to where it's more of a vertical type way of thinking, an expansive way of thinking, as opposed to a linear way of thinking. And by changing just a few of my words in my vocabulary to align with that, I can actually feel a vibrational difference, as opposed to using the word negative or positive. Beneficial and non-beneficial feels more accurate. But back to my shadows, what I was saying about the psychic disease, that I obviously was traumatized as a child by my father. Azula, my love, where's the baby? Where's the baby? There's the baby. I see the baby. Come back over here, please. Thank you. Come on. Come back over here. Yes, thank you. Don't you want to sit up here? Oh, no, you want to sit up here? Alright, let's sit you up here. Okay, so, come on. Now you're in the shade. Isn't that better? Yeah. Alright. Okay, like I was saying, where was I? I totally do not have any notes. Oh, I was talking about, thank you. The psychic disease that traumatized me as a child from my father. Now, as I was saying earlier before the technical failure, I've been seeing this shadow reflecting back in my waking life, through the primary people in my life, mainly my grandmother, and I guess someone you could call maybe an intimate interest. I think that might be overstepping it a bit, but it was a fuck buddy, if you want to call it that. But it's nothing more than that. But I can see the dynamic reflecting back at me from childhood. And I think, well, actually, for the most part, to be honest with myself, I don't think I've been managing that reflection accurately, because as soon as I see that daddy thing come out, and what I mean by the psychic disease, I did explain earlier, it's just like, my dad was really petty, going off about shit that grown folks ain't got no business talking about. Slices of bread, counting cookies and shit, just stuff that kids would do. Kids eat cookies and Twinkies, But he was very, childish like that. Who ate the Twinkie, who ate a slice of bread, who ate And it's just like, the whole time I'm growing up, I'm thinking, why the fuck are you buying food if it wasn't meant to eat? But anyway, whenever I see, or should I say, bring it back to the present, what I see in my waking life, or what I've been witnessing and observing in my waking life now, is that when that shadow resurfaces through, the loved ones in my life, I'm not sure I'm handling it accurately enough, because I know as a child, when that scenario would come up through my father, that psychic illness, as a child I was afraid, cringing, scared, wanting to hide. And as an adult, when I see it come through the other loved ones in my life, I tell you, it triggers me. And as an adult, I go toe to toe with that damn thing, and I give it everything back that it gave me as a child. I'm not sure if that's the accurate thing, but that's just the bitch I am now. I used to be worse than I am now, but when I started waking up and started finding more out about myself, I softened a lot. And I would like to get even more soft, but when I do run into this particular trigger, I need to meditate a little bit more to find out if I am managing it accurately enough to where I can reintegrate. I actually don't know what I'm supposed to do with this. I really don't. And like I said, since I've been back here in this Hampton Roads area, my auditory senses have seemed to, lessened a bit. Even when I try, it's just like my energy is just, I'm surrounded by such non-beneficial energy. It's just like, oh my fucking God, what am I gonna do? Because I like to think that, being in a more beneficial vibrational space mentally, I'd like to influence the other people around me so they can be happier in their lives, because most of the people around me, they're fucking totally, three-ring shit show is what they're thinking about their lives. Nobody's fucking happy, and I get that, because I used to be in that same vibrational space, which is one of the reasons why I resigned from my job, 13-year IT position, and everybody was like, oh, you got it made, because, I was making good money working from home, had house, car, all the things I needed and whatnot, and then I gave it all up for what? Well, there is good reason why I did that. But the people in my life right now, on the outside looking in, the super not self-aware people, they have no fucking clue what I'm doing, or even if I try to explain to them, they don't get it. They just shake their head and be like, you stupid. Well, they don't actually say that, but you can kind of gauge by the expression on your face, that's what they're thinking. But anyway, I'm not really sure what to do with this vibration, or should I say with this trigger, with this shadow. I tell you the truth, it's kicking my ass. It's kicking my ass. Because I need to find a way to soften. I need to find a way to soften to this shadow. The shadow was the bane of my childhood. It was one of the reasons that made me so hard and almost, I don't know. I guess there was some benefit to it. Even though my father was a militant, Twinkie counting son of a bitch, I did pick up a lot of traits that were beneficial. Because I did pretty good to be unconscious. When I look back at the life that the paradigm I fell into, that cushy prison that I was in, I didn't do too bad to be fucking unconscious. And if I can do that, unconscious, I can only imagine what I'm about to do now that I am conscious. What The fuck? Where's my castle? Oh, there she is. She hasn't gone anywhere. But, yeah, this shadow is probably one of my bigger shadows. Because, I noticed one night I was out on, the porch. It probably had to be maybe 1 or 2 o'clock in the morning. I was out there smoking a cigar, taking a break from, I was doing some editing on one of my videos or something like that. Yeah, because I recorded a new music video and I've been working on that. So that's going to come up next. I'm going to upload that one next. But I noticed that the light that I was standing in, the porch light, was it was casting a very interesting shadow, because there was a primary shadow that was really big, that was right in front of me on the ground, and then off to the side was a smaller shadow, because at first I thought it was somebody over there, in the bush, because, as I moved, the shadow moved. I was like, what the fuck? But then I realized, okay, wait a minute, that's just me. Okay, my shadow. So even though it was like over in this area and the primary shadow was like over in this area, it was, well, anyway, I took that to mean something. I usually don't see multiple shadows. I usually just see just one shadow. But that night I saw multiple shadows, and then a fox comes running through the backyard.